Coming up on Mornings on the Hill, we're kicking things off with President-elect Donald Trump selecting cabinet and administration members.
How this past election has affected the mental health of people in the community.
All that plus your weather and orange sports coming up on this edition of Mornings on the Hill. Good morning, I'm Benaya Johnson. Thanks for joining us for Mornings on the Hill.
And I'm Nathaniel Cunningham. Here's a look at today's top story.
Let's take a look at the weather as a bomb cyclone is making the headlines this morning as one of the Northwest Pacific's strongest storm.
Our Nico Horning is outside with more information on how this storm could impact parts of Oregon and Northern California. Nico?
That's right, guys. There is a huge bomb cyclone circling around the coast of California, Oregon, and Washington. It started making landfall in the state of Washington today, and it has since filtered down into Oregon. As we get a look at the map right here of the Portland region, you can see that rain both on equal sides to the left and right of Portland. That will be circulating with more rain coming off the coast and then feeding into Northern California as well. 10 to 14 inches of rain on parts of the coastline. It's going to be a lot of water at a rapid pace. This storm will be continuing on into Friday. As you can see, some damage has already occurred in Washington. Look at this tree. It is basically perpendicular to the ground, falling down. There's been some houses that have had trees fall on top of them. Already one person has died from this bomb cyclone in Washington, so a lot to watch out for as far as the debris go with the fast rain and wind. So that's all for now with the bomb cyclone here in Syracuse. It's a nice, comfortable 54 degrees outside. I'll have a little bit more of an in-depth look at Syracuse later on, especially with some rain coming our way here in the Northeast. Guys, back to you.
Thank you so much, Nico. President-elect Donald Trump has been rolling out his picks for who he plans to fill his cabinet with. A Republican-heavy Senate will likely help his confirmation process, although some delays may occur as many critics have been saying his choices are not qualified for their positions.
Our Mike Lamort joins us live with more on who has been nominated so far. Hey, Mike.
Hey, good morning, Benaya and Nate. With his latest 3 picks, President-elect Donald J. Trump continues to shock the world with his controversial appointments for his cabinet and other positions. Just yesterday, President Trump announced Dr. Oz as the administrator of U.S. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, billionaire Howard Lutnick as the Commerce Secretary, and he later revealed WWE co-founder Linda McMahon as his pick for the Education Secretary. But the controversy surrounding his cabinet picks didn't start there. It stretches back about a week ago with his first cabinet picks. Trump announced Matt Gaetz as the next U.S. Attorney General. That appointment quickly met with backlash, referring to the ethics probe that was initially opened up in the House on Gaetz back in 2021. The report claims Gaetz, quote, may have engaged in sexual misconduct and/or illicit drug use, shared inappropriate images or videos on the House floor, misused state identification records, converted campaign funds to personal use, and/or accepted a bribe, improper gratuity, or impermissible gift in violation of House rules, laws, or other standards of conduct. Now, the House Bipartisan Ethics Committee will meet today behind closed doors to discuss the next steps in the investigation. Gaetz wasn't the only pick, though, that was stirring controversy amongst the public. Trump also announced Tulsi Gabbard as the Director of National Intelligence. Gabbard has extensive military experience and also served in the House Homeland Security Committee for 2 years, but she doesn't necessarily have direct intelligence experience. She's also been criticized and questioned as a Russian asset by a few senators. And then there's South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, who was appointed by Trump as the next Secretary of Homeland Security as part of her position to oversee the border, which she has no experience with as the South Dakota governor. So many are quick to point out that the majority of Trump's picks this time around are quote-unquote unqualified, and that he's instead choosing loyalty and people that he trusts to deliver the results the Trump administration will be looking for. Of course, these appointments have to go through what will be the majority Republican Senate for approval, so we'll just have to wait to see what President Trump's next administration will officially look like in January. Guys.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on how that cabinet shapes up. Coming up next, we have Syracuse residents feeling mentally exhausted following the presidential election.
With emotions running high throughout central New York, Mornings on the Hill reporter Autumn Ryan joins us live on how we can improve our mental health. Autumn?
Thanks, guys. It's 2 weeks after the presidential election, and Syracuse residents are still feeling uneasy about what the future holds. Some people are struggling mentally after the results didn't go the way they expected. One voter and Syracuse resident, Patron Middleton, is one of many whose mental health is being negatively impacted by the election. Middleton says the results were not surprising, but still scary and shocking. He's worried about his family's rights that are a part of the LGBTQ+ community.
I have family that are, all natures of sexuality. Straight, gay, straight men, straight women, gay women, trans, all of it.
While many voted, some people's mental state left them too overwhelmed to even cast a ballot. One Syracuse resident, Nikita Goodwin, did not feel confident voting for either candidate. She says she felt so anxious by the nonstop election coverage, she decided not to vote at all.
A lot of things came out on both parties, which is, that's what made me undecided too. It's because they were saying things about her, they were saying things about Trump.
According to a survey from the American Psychological Association, 77% of U.S. adults said the future of our nation was a significant source of stress in their lives. Mental health experts say it is important for people to find coping mechanisms during stressful times like election season. Marriage and family therapist Carrie Lynn Steves says you must listen to your body, recognize what is happening, and use a strategy that can calm you down.
Journaling, writing, singing, drawing, coloring, those kind of things. Some people really do better with also having distraction. So being able to turn something on that is completely different than what you're thinking about, feeling, those kind of things.
Now that election season is over, Lynn Steves recommends that you find a community of people who have similar feelings that can help you work through that grief. Live in Syracuse, I'm Autumn Ryan, Mornings on the Hill. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Autumn. Coming up on Mornings on the Hill, rugby is helping a paralyzed man take an unfortunate situation and turn it into a new purpose.
And a big name bookstore is making its way to campus. Don't go anywhere. Up next on Mornings on the Hill. Welcome back. We head over to Rochester, where our Max Williams traveled for a few weeks to follow the life of a man who just became paralyzed.
After almost a year in the hospital in rehab facilities, he has now found a new purpose. Here's Max with more on the story.
3 hours every week. Chairs crashing. Wheels grinding. Sounds that are new to Rochester native Jamie Goliamo, who joined this local wheelchair rugby group just 10 months ago, and he's still figuring things out.
You're always driving with your shoulders, so by the end of the day, those are in pain. 9, 10.
I think he's got a lot of potential.
He's been doing awesome. He's getting better and better every single time he comes.
He's just a great guy, and we continue to get to know him better each practice.
Practicing with this team has been everything to Jamie since the very moment he rolled out onto this court.
Only missed 1 week so far.
Doing what he loved the most, Jamie was an avid skier. And when you're on the slopes like this one here, it's common to take a fall every so often. But this one was different.
I couldn't move my legs at all, and I felt like they were like floating up in the air above me. Couldn't move my fingers.
It was Jamie's last run for the day as the sun was quickly fading.
If you stayed out, later and ski patrol wasn't there, what would you do?
Would have got hypothermic or maybe died out there.
Jamie was rushed to the hospital where he spent 9 hours in surgery. His parents right there by his side, just thankful he was alive.
We still have him. It didn't matter. What makes Jamie Jamie is still there.
Jamie spent 6 weeks in a recovery facility before his family welcomed him in with open arms. But it hasn't been easy for anyone in this home.
Before, I really liked being independent and kind of having that ability to do what I want whenever.
It's not hard on me. I'm his mom. I think it's hard on him to be dependent.
And just like that, months after Jamie became paralyzed, it was time to play in his first tournament. His parents watching proudly.
There's been so many times over the past few months where it's just like, I look at how Jamie is, and it's inspiring.
It's definitely good to be able to get together with a group of people that are more or less in the same situation. Drain the bag, fill the bottle, and we're good to go.
A situation that has changed Jamie's life, but his family is still holding on to hope.
I'm still holding out. He will walk again.
Whether on wheels or back on his feet,
From the moments we saw him in the hospital, he was worried about work, he was worried about other people.
Jamie will always be Jamie. Reporting in Rochester,
1, 2, 3, Breakers!
I'm Max Williams.
A truly beautiful story, Max. Thank you so much. Changes are in store for SU at the campus bookstore. The university is partnering with Barnes & Noble to manage all course materials, general merchandise, and retail.
There is no word yet as to how this might affect the price students pay for books and supplies. There are 25 people who work at the campus store, according to reports. All are working with human resources to apply for other jobs on campus. We'll see how that unfolds in the coming days, but right now tensions are high across the country as the list of banned books grow longer every day.
Books with storylines about racism and sexism are being targeted, leaving authors to grapple with their expressions being censored. Our Zatazia Duffy attended a banned book event last night and has more on the content.
As book banning and censorship seem to be at an all-time high, students and authors are banding together to have conversations about their concerns and what this could mean going forward. The class of 2028 Leadership Scholars hosted Read Between the Lines Tuesday night in Falk College. Children's book author and Newhouse alumnus Seamus Kirst was a panelist whose first book, Papa, Daddy, and Riley, appeared on a banned list in 2020.
Obviously, there's always a part of you that it makes you feel very sad, even if you get really defensive and go into like fight mode or go into the social justice mode. It's really sad to think about kids, students, parents, teachers who are LGBTQ and are in these environments where these books are being banned, which makes it feel like whatever that school or municipality is telling them that their existence is taboo.
Sometimes it's the act of having these conversations that can make a difference. That's what first-year leadership scholar Alice Jenkins says. The Massachusetts native says her cousin, the town's librarian, happens to be transgender. Jenkins said this contributed to her involvement.
I think it's incredibly important that we keep having these conversations and uncomfortable conversations with other people, allowing other people to make us uncomfortable, because without that disagreement and that sort of like pulling and pushing dynamic, no change is going to happen.
I think it's like really important to not get overwhelmed by the scale and the intensity of oppression in our society right now, and just to find the ways that you feel comfortable, safe, and empowered to get involved.
Kirst's books are online, available for purchase on Amazon.com. For Mornings on the Hill, Zatazia Duffy.
Definitely some big changes ahead. Now time for your weather update.
We're glad to have our weatherman Nico Horning back in studio after it looked pretty cold out there this morning with your full weather forecast. Nico?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Yeah, it's a pretty decent day outside, to be honest with you. 54 degrees here in Syracuse, pretty mild, all things considered. I was still wearing shorts the last couple of days, and I know a lot of people giving me hate on that, but it's been shorts weather, and it's when it's 50 degrees in central New York, you can't really complain about that. So pretty mild today, light winds as well. Some overnight rain possible tonight, and then as we get into tomorrow, pretty cloudy to start your morning, and then some rain filters in through the afternoon as well. As you can see, about 3/10 of precipitation in the morning, a little bit heavier as the afternoon goes on, and then some overnight rain tomorrow night. Look at those temperatures, 37 degrees, so starting to dip down a little bit, and that'll feed us into the next few days where the temperatures will start to get colder once again. As you can see, 45 the high tomorrow, and then really the mid-40s throughout the week as well. Some rain lingering into Friday and Saturday, maybe some sun peeks out on Sunday. Next week, those temperatures probably dipping down into the 30s as well. And be on the lookout for our first snow opportunity by the middle of next week, maybe right around Thanksgiving. Guys, back to you.
Nico, thank you so much. Have to pull the rain jacket out this weekend. Coming up on Mornings on the Hill, the most streamed sporting event ever in the history happened this past weekend. We'll be back with how Netflix is entering the live sports sector and more sports here on Mornings on the Hill.
Update here on Mornings on the Hill. I know now it's early in the college basketball season, but Syracuse head coach Adrian Autry is already making moves for next year's team, with big commitments on National Signing Day. First to join the Orange is forward Sadiq White Jr. from Charlotte, North Carolina. ESPN.com ranks him a 5-star prospect and the 15th best recruit in his class. Next, Coach Autry took a page from women's head coach Felicia Leggett-Jack, bringing Australian Luke Fennell, a sharpshooting guard, earning a 4-star ranking from 24/7 Sports. He also rated as the 23rd shooting guard in the class of 2025. Adrian Womack from Wisconsin was the third to make his decision. The small forward has earned first-team All-Metro Classic selection with over 1,200 career points heading into his senior year. Now for the commit every Orange fan was wondering about Kyan Anthony, son of Syracuse legend Carmelo Anthony, who had one of the most productive single seasons in college basketball history in 2002 to 2003. The top 15 rated prospect will officially follow his father's footsteps. Kyan is a 4-star recruit, ranked as the 34th best player and the 6th best shooting guard in the class of 25 by 247sports.com. He lived up to the hype this past summer, averaging nearly 29 points per game at the National Basketball Player Association Top 100 camp. While there is already great talent coming in 2025, Adrian Autry remains focused on the current season. Let's recap Saturday's game and see what's ahead for the Orange with Zach Hard.
Hey, thanks, Geraldine. Over the weekend, Youngstown State visited and gave the Orange their toughest test yet. We'll jump to under 5 minutes left in regulation, and the Penguins are fighting. Nico Gillette gets the up and under to go, pushing Youngstown's lead to 4. Now Syracuse down 2 with just a few seconds left, and J.J. Starling takes matters into his own hands. He had a huge game for Cuse. Eddie Lampkin was also stuffing the stat sheet for the Orange. He gets a pass through to the wide open Chris Bell, and Lampkin was just 3 assists away from a triple-double. J.J. Starling caps off his career-high 38 points with the nail in the coffin. Syracuse beats Youngstown State 104-95. Let's hear how Coach Autry felt about J.J. Starling after the game.
J.J. Starling, and that's the J.J. Starling that we know, and again, he's the guy for us. He's important for us, and he was big time. What a game for him, and he played 50 minutes, man, and he just kept battling. So I was very proud and excited for him. Lean on him. That's why he's here. He's a guy that we lean on and we need him.
We all need someone to lean on. And looking at tomorrow against Texas, the Longhorns lean on Trey Johnson, a freshman who beat up on defenses to the tune of 23 points a game. This is in the UKG Legends Classic, an in-season tournament, and after the Orange take on Texas, they'll play either Texas Tech or St. Joseph's. The winners of those games play for a championship, and the losers play for 3rd place. All this starts tomorrow at 7 in the Barclays Center. Now we move over to the ring, and Mike Lamar joins us to talk about why all eyes were on the boxing world last night.
Thanks, Zach. The world is still reacting to what was probably the most anticipated fight of the year, Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. After the initial date got pushed back, the 27-year-old social media influencer Jake Paul finally squared off against the 58-year-old legendary Iron Mike Tyson this past Friday. Iron Mike came out strong and aggressive, even showing flashes of his former self. But the script quickly switched, with the problem child taking control of the match pretty much from the 3rd round on. Jake Paul went on to defeat Mike Tyson by unanimous decision after Tyson lasted all 8 rounds after the fight. Tyson went to X to say this: "This is one of those situations when you lost, but still won. I'm grateful for last night. No regrets to get in ring one last time. I almost died in June, had 8 blood transfusions, lost half my blood and 25 pounds in hospital, and had to fight to get healthy to fight, so I won. To have my children see me stand toe-to-toe and finish 8 rounds with a talented fighter half my age in front of a packed Dallas Cowboys stadium is an experience that no man has the right to ask for. The fight went on to set a record with 60 million streams on Netflix. Although this might be the last dance for Mike Tyson, Jake Paul already has his eyes set for his next opponent, calling out the likes of Canelo Alvarez. That'll do it for sports. Now back to the desk with Vanaya and Nathaniel.
Thanks, guys. Some amazing things going on within the sports world. It's a big week for movie debuts, with this Friday showcasing some of the most highly anticipated movies of the year.
More on that shortly after this break.
Back, let's check out what's happening in entertainment. The musical phenomenon Wicked will debut in theaters across the nation this Friday. This will be the first chapter of a 2-part movie series. The second half of the movie will be released in 2025.
Wicked has a competitor for box office sales, though, as Gladiator 2 is also set to hit the theaters this Friday. The box office projections range between 60 million to 80 million domestically. Both of these movies are predicted to be huge successes, and the theaters will have a movie for everyone to watch this month.
And if you prefer streaming services, there are plenty of new releases for you. This weekend, The Piano Lesson, Joy, and Spellbound will be released on Netflix, as well as Out of My Mind debuting the Disney Plus and Blitz on Apple TV. That's all we have got for you on this Wednesday on Mornings on the Hill. I'm Vanaya Johnson. Follow us on social media.
And I'm Nathaniel Cunningham. Thank you guys so much for watching Orange Nation. We'll see you next Wednesday, live at 10 a.m. right here on OTN.